Olive? Okay.
Recording is in progress. Here we are. Hi, Sam. Hi, Katie. Yay. Yay. Okay. Amazing. So many of us are here today. All right. Okay. I think my Wi-Fi was having some issues, but we're going to pray that it's going to be all good for the rest of the call. And yeah, let's drop in together. I'm going to put everyone on mute. Can you all hear me? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great. Oh, Sam says trickster, power, empowerment. Yes. Oh, I love that. The dark goddess. Okay, before we do this, all right, gallery view, here we are. Okay, let us take a moment to come to our breath and our bodies and the circle, this moment. Let us go ahead and rub our hands together, creating some friction, creating some warmth. Breathing in as we do so. And exhale, palms up to the sky, and exhale with sound. Just allowing that energy to dissipate from the palms, from the breath. And inhaling again, rooting down deep into our bodies, into our bones, into the earth. And exhale, sound it out. And again, like that, feeling this heat that we created with our hands, feeling the warmth in our body, the fire. Inhaling into that space and holding at the top of the breath. And exhale, sound it out. And just continue breathing and invite a little bit of movement into the body. Breathing into those sticky corners of the body that we don't often allow ourselves to feel, to move, to breathe. The emotions that can be intense, scary, powerful, empowering, dark. And with each breath into those places, I invite an exhale with sound and a little bit of movement. Just calling in the energy of our breath into the places that feel stuck. Breaking up the stagnation. Let's reach our arms up to the sky. And just pull as though you're pulling on a rope. And just reach higher and higher, really getting into the shoulders, moving the spine. And exhale, stretching down. Releasing the breath. And just continuing gentle movement in any part of the body that's asking for your attention, your presence, your breath. Today, may we allow ourselves to feel safe and held as we invite in the dark goddess, the shadow sister, the emotions that are within us that can often feel overpowering. May we feel safe and grounded and connected and loved as we allow these parts of ourselves to come forward and move. Anchoring into this energy of sisterhood in the circle, this energy of support, of love, of other women who know what it's like to live in a society that is out of alignment with our wombs, out of alignment with our bodies, with the earth, with the full expression of our truth, that does not always allow space for our wildness to be fully expressed. Breathing into that, into this container of other women who are choosing to allow ourselves to feel what is here, who are choosing to allow ourselves to listen to our intuition, to reconnect with the earth. to choose our bodies first. We are supported, we are held, we are witnessed in the expression of whatever it is that wants to move today and always. So inhaling into this connection of sisters. And exhale, sound it out to your other sisters. Allowing ourselves to witness and be witnessed in the expression of our truth, in the full spectrum of our emotions. Nowhere to get to, nothing to do other than be here now in this. Returning to our natural breath, allowing anything to settle, placing one hand over the womb and one hand over the heart space, feeling this connection to our body, this connection to our power, our intuition, our pleasure in the low belly, and anything else that lives there. And feeling this softness in our heart, the gentleness, the opening. Feeling our hands on our own body, supporting ourselves, loving ourselves, respecting ourselves. And we'll take one final breath in together. And exhale, sigh it out into your own body. And gently coming back to the screen as we're ready. Witnessing our sisters on the call, allowing ourselves to be seen. Hello, welcome.
Thank you, Anna. So beautiful. Dropping in and feeling all of our presence connected here together with this very deep theme that we're going into tonight. So I first want to just thank you all for showing up to this call, because sometimes the hardest part is showing up, right? To face some of our inner darkness that's going on. So this week, we are going to explore the dark goddess and what that means for each of us in our lives. In general, kind of looking at darkness or hard times can be really reframed when we take the divine feminine, when we look at it from a sacred feminine perspective, as this initiation, as a rite of passage that we have been called to go through at this time in our lives. And that's quite a major change from the Western perspective of going through a hard time. Usually people are just trying to say, oh, you just need to get over it, or you just need to get to the end, or oh, that shouldn't be happening to you. You're too young, you're too whatever, whatever the hardship is. But in reality, the ancient wisdom is that when something happens, when you're going through, usually it's an initiation of a loss of something, of a deep grief, whether that's your health or a loved one, a relationship, finances, a job. Most of the times I feel like these rites of passage come in these forms of a deep loss that we're going through. And you have to go through this loss to call home the other missing parts of yourself. That's what I believe. It's that you have to feel the loss of what was filling the empty space in order to find what actually will fill you and make you fulfilled in this lifetime. So there is a very powerful myth that a lot of priestesses refer to, which is the myth of Inanna. And when I heard the myth of Inanna, I feel like it changed my life, to be honest, because it was the first time I was able to shift my perspective with my health journey of dealing with very severe health issues, which took a lot of things away from me in my life. At first, it was so much anger, and this shouldn't be happening to me, and victimhood. But hearing this myth allowed me to switch into what I was just talking about, into seeing it as the journey, as the heroine's journey of, oh, I am being called down into the depths to find what is there for me, to go through this initiation and discover something completely different. So we're going to go deeper into the story of Inanna later, but to give you a little snippet of it right now. So Inanna, it's a Sumerian poem, and she's the queen of heaven and earth. And in this myth, she decides to descend into the underworld because she is wanting to revive her powers. Basically, she knows that she can't quite rule heaven and earth without descending into the underworld, and something's missing. And so she goes down there to meet her sister, Ereshkigal. I might be pronouncing that wrong, but it's something like that. And essentially, Ereshkigal is like not super happy she's there. Ereshkigal herself is just widowed, and she's going through this like massive grieving. And she makes Inanna go through a series of gates, 7 different gates. And at each gate, Inanna has to give up something. She has to give up her jewelry, her clothes, her crown, until the last gate where she can finally enter the underworld. She's completely bare. And she enters the underworld and she sees her sister, Ereshkigal, which is essentially a mirror. It's her dark self in a sister form. And Ereshkigal kills her. And it's kind of this whole process then of Inanna being able to meet her darkest self, die. She dies, and then there's some things of like someone comes down to get her, and essentially she's resurrected into ruling the heaven and earth and underworld. So when I heard this, it was like, oh my gosh, I had to give up so many things in my life. I had to give up these friends. I had to give up this job. I had to give up this money. It's like a cleansing, right? It's a cleansing, and then unable to retake what is ours in our life. So it's pretty powerful when we can look at it that way, and we can look around in the darkness. So often we feel blind by our grief, we feel blind by whatever is consuming us. But if we're able to sit with it, and essentially open our eyes, we can actually see what is there for us, right? In this underworld. What is the medicine we are gaining here? What is the journey that we have been called to go on? And it's actually a huge celebration, because if that is happening to you at that moment in your life, it means your soul is ready for massive amount of transformation and to essentially move you on. Death of whatever it is a portal. It's a portal for you to walk through and find what is on the other side. And there's also a massive amount of creativity in that place, right? You think so many like albums have been written, books have been written, so many different things have come from these incredibly dark places. I myself, I just wrote an album. Most of it came from pretty dark places. And essentially creativity is a way to start to move. I don't even want to say move through the darkness, but to move with the darkness and to see where you can go together. And also a way to move with the darkness is using our voice and our bodies. But I'll tap into our voice a little bit, because our voice, which is so often suppressed, right? In a culture where we feel we have to suppress our emotions, and we store them in our bodies. And our culture does not make space, right? Does not like to witness us having rage or tears or wailing or crying, when actually these are incredibly naturally healing responses to what's going on. When we are able to reclaim some of those things, which we will go into deeper later, we can use tools like our body, like our voice, to express them, right? To yell, to cry, to wail, to sing. And it is a natural healer, the voice opening that to move through it, to move with the darkness, can be a guide in itself to show us where we want to go. I talked a little bit last week about I used pleasure at certain times in my life to move through darkness. And I think there's also a space for our darkest fantasies. So I think the dark goddess can mean, allowing space for all of our emotions to come out with our bodies, with our voices. It can be allowing space to find what we truly want in the world. It can also be allowing space for some of our deepest, darkest desires and fantasies. And maybe even some of those things that we crave that we know would be super bad for us, right? Like like going and smoking a cigarette in downtown LA. I used that example once with Anna. And just like, I don't know, doing something dangerous, or like getting on the back of a motorcycle with a random guy at a bar. So allowing ourselves to kind of go into these dark fantasies, or just allowing ourselves to play with them a little bit, can sometimes be enough to fulfill us. But the more we suppress them, the more they actually come out in more harmful ways, I think, like drug addiction or alcoholism or illness. Because we all have this kind of, I think the dark goddess is more than just kind of the angry rage Kali, and that's a part of it. But I think it's also kind of like, we had some words. We talked about like seductress, sorceress. I use the word like sex and kink to get intimate with that kind of dark side of ourselves and see like where she wants to take us. And maybe it will surprise us, and maybe it can be just a smaller part of our lives that will fulfill us in ways we don't even imagine yet. So that is my take on the dark goddess for this
evening. Thank you so much, Katie. Yeah, yes to all of that. And I just want to add a few more things before we dive into our rituals and emotional release tools. Something I wanted to bring up is our menstrual cycles, and the luteal phase is, or luteal, I always say luteal, but it is when we are in the second half of our cycle after ovulation. And sorry, I'm trying to change the recording so it's on speaker view, but for some reason it's not working. Here we go. Okay. So yeah, the luteal phase is after we ovulate, when we are in the second half of our cycle, and it's the quote unquote PMS phase that gets a bad rap because of the emotional highs and lows that can be experienced. But to reframe this part of our cycle as a way to connect with the dark goddess. I like to work with there's lots of different cycle archetypes that you can work with, like fall, winter, spring, summer, but I like to use the wild woman / enchantress as the luteal phase, and then the crone is when you bleed, and the maiden is when you're just coming out of the bleed, and the mother is when you're ovulating. And there's a lot to express about the cycle, but I just wanted to bring up the luteal phase this week, because knowing when I'm in that phase, which is right before you bleed, like anywhere from 2 weeks to like 14 days to 10 days before you bleed, and especially right before bleeding, that time can be emotionally charged and volatile. It doesn't have to be, but just knowing that allows me to have more compassion for myself when I'm experiencing all of this intensity in my body and like having all these cravings and like a week ago, everything seemed amazing when I was ovulating, then all of a sudden my life's falling apart. It's the luteal phase. And so to just have that awareness around our cycle is beautiful, and has really allowed me to come back to myself and feel grounded and have the spaciousness to explore the emotions that are coming up, instead of being afraid that I'm spiraling into depression or something that feels out of my control, but to just reframe it as, oh my gosh, this is a part of my cycle, and I'm a cyclic being, and we live in a culture that encourages that's very linear, and it doesn't have space for the cycles and rhythms and the waves of the female body. Kimberly said the book Wild Power is one I recommend on this topic, about cycles and wildness. Yes, amazing. I have not read Wild Power, but I want to. I want to now. And then Olive said, totally feel that about why do I feel like it's falling apart when ovulating. Love that. Sometimes you just got to cycle through it. Yeah. So often when ovulating, we feel like everything is like amazing. And that's like in the middle of our cycle, and more energy, more creative, a lot of vibrancy, extra capacity to be more motherly. And as it's the mother phase of the cycle, and so then after that, we can fall into the space of the highs and lows. And what I found, there are many ways to allow more stability during that time, like what we eat, etc. But just like cultivating some space to explore those emotions is really helpful for me, to just be like, all right, I'm in my luteal phase. I'm going to have a little extra time to go into the dark goddess, to feel my rage, to feel my grief, let that move. And then that allows for like more peace. So yes, the luteal phase. And I also wanted to read a little passage from the book Eating in the Light of the Moon, which I think I shared with some of you before. It is incredible. It really, really helped me work through a lot of disordered eating. And it's by Anita Johnston. And yeah, the Anonymous. Katie might read the one from this book. There's the Anonymous in here. Yeah, it's an incredible book. And the part I want to read is about power. And I actually opened up to this page today when I was just like looking for inspiration, and it's very relevant. It's about eating and healing disordered eating, which is not the topic of today, but it is a topic of many people's lives, especially women, I found. And so I just want to bring this up in relation to the dark goddess, but also eating, addiction, anything of the sort. Yeah, and it's about power. And I'll read the few paragraphs. And yeah, so it needs to be understood that it may not be a sense of powerlessness that is at the root of the disordered eating. It may instead be a fear of power. Fear of the power of one's feeling, especially anger. Fear of the power of one's perception, especially when they see things differently than others. Fear of one's intelligence and talent when others might become jealous. Fear of the power of one's sexuality, which may lead to advances from others they don't know how to handle. Fear of the power of being a woman. Women who struggle with disordered eating are more often than not women with exceptional abilities. They have a highly developed sixth sense. They have the ability to see the invisible, to read between the lines. They become afraid of these abilities because they have received the message that these abilities are dangerous. So they become afraid of their intuition. They fear the power of the feminine. Take some time to remember your early experiences with your personal power. Think back to when you were around 4, 5, 6. Were you able to feel things others didn't? How did others respond when you described your perceptions? What about the times you felt that you did something well? How was that received? Were there secrets you felt compelled to keep? In what ways did you discover that the full expression of your power was considered dangerous? When did you first find it difficult to be yourself with all of your power and be in a relationship at the same time? In order to recover from disordered eating or addiction, a woman needs to move into a new understanding of power, one which will enable her to be comfortable with her intrinsic power, one which will allow her to be in her power and participate in relationships with others at the same time. Power, 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 power. And then she goes into talking about the difference between power over and power with, and then power within, and how we can often have negative associations with power in this world of the power of domination and this top-down hierarchical power that can suppress others and dominate. And that's, yeah, like the power that the US was founded on. It's like this big, scary colonizing power. But when we create this relationship with our internal power, that is one of listening to our intuition and tuning in with all of our emotions, then we can follow that power and follow that whatever's there. And yeah, in this book, she talks a lot about hunger and what are we hungry for? And we mentioned that a little bit, I think, last week, but this can be applied to anything, like doesn't have to be with just disordered eating, but this like deep hunger, some sort of craving for something that we don't know how to satisfy. And what it often is this hunger for connection with ourself and with the earth and with community and with a spiritual connection to source that we've been given no tools to know how to satisfy. So then we're filling it with addiction to the media, or addiction to or codependent relationships, addiction to food, addiction to cigarettes, drugs, alcohol, whatever, because we don't know where to satisfy it. And what is important in this journey is inviting in those intense emotions, inviting in the dark goddess. And as Katie said, opening our eyes in the darkness, and learning how to dance with her and move with her, and embrace her and honor the power of the darkness. And in that, we are able to transmute that energy into love and abundance and creativity and pleasure and all the things that we desire. But when we push it away, it can grow stronger, which was what Katie was talking about too. So power, and a little bit about that. Does anyone have any questions on anything we brought up, or comments or things to add? Right, no questions. There might be one other thing I want to add.
I was gonna say, kind of also real quickly, like, I think that this is one of the hardest things for us to access. Like, of probably all the things that we talk about in this course, this might, I don't know, I won't speak for you, but in my experience, just in our culture, like, going into this place is probably one of the most it can be one of the hardest things, because our culture is so adamant about, especially women, showing emotion and making space for this darkness in our life, and actually normalizing it. Like Anna was saying, like, when you're in that luteal phase, being like, I feel like wild, and this is normal. Like, I don't need to be locked up in an insane asylum. But we have lots of, there's so much cultural wounding of, like, literally that happened, right? Like, they took women to insane asylums during luteal phases because they thought they were insane. In actuality, they were experiencing their wildness in their fullest and moving emotion through them so they could get through it to another place. But we view that as bad, so we carry these very deep wounds around it. But I think both Anna and I have found this is one of the most essential places to access, like, that wild well within, like, is really going there, like, into that place, because it can be an amazing portal. The death of whatever is happening to you, like, it can really open up channels and creativity and just direction in your life. And it can be a really amazing portal for the wild well itself.
Yes, thank you so much. Such a portal. So I am going to go into sharing some emotional release tools. And just before that, quick note about trauma. I want to keep us on our time schedule, but just quick note of trauma being stored in the body. And we're going to dive into this ritual to invoke the dark goddess, invoke rage, grief, jealousy, whatever it is that we desire to work with, whatever wants to come through. And I'm sharing several emotional release tools to help us move the energy during this ritual and at any other time in your life. Like in a restaurant, I go to the bathroom sometimes and just like do my like emotional release tools if I need to. They're really, really important to allow us to move this energy in a healthy way that is not turning it back in on ourselves, which has just been the pattern for many of us for so long, whether it's through like just energetically or cutting or like an addiction or whatever, like whatever it is, just turning that energy in on us when we don't know how to process it, or lashing out on someone else and pushing the energy on someone else. So being able to have this energetic hygiene with our emotions is really important and powerful. So these the ritual and then diving into this work and these emotional release tools can unlock trauma that's stored in the body. And something, yeah, Katie said on our call the other day when we were prepping for this, is that you don't have to have had a sexual assault to feel the trauma of our culture as women. Like you don't have to have had a specifically sexually assaultive experience that would be defined as sexual assault or rape, whatever, or an intensely traumatic experience to still have trauma just by the nature of being a woman in this culture, being a human, being anyone in this culture that is out of alignment with our bodies and etc. So we all have some form of trauma, however mild or intense, and everything that will guide you through today is always an invitation, and just reminding your body that you're safe. And I like to find sometimes a part of my body that is like a place of resource to come back to if I'm moving things and it gets really intense. And oftentimes the heart feels really just like a safe space for me, and you can tune in with yourself and feel into what is the place of resource that I can just come back to. And if it feels that there's not a safe space in your body, just focusing on the breath can be powerful, or connecting to an archetype that feels like safe for you, like like that tree outside my house, or this goddess. And yeah, do you have any other notes on trauma, Katie?
Yeah, I mean, that's not too much, but yeah, Anna pretty much covered it. But this concept of trauma in the body and releasing it can really move you forward in like health and in disordered eating and all of these things, because we so often are storing this in our bodies, and then our bodies are breaking down in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, we're gonna go through some pretty cool things of how to release it. I mean, you can see one note I would say is that when you look into the wild, they've done studies of how animals release trauma from their bodies, and they actually have a natural thing that they do, where if you see like a lion attack a antelope, the antelope will go into a shaking thing right afterwards. Immediately they know how to shake and move it through their body, and then they're fine. Then they go and they join the herd and they're good to go. So much like that, that's the kind of the goal of these tools, is to unearth some of that. And shaking is a really powerful thing, and I do have more resources on that if anyone is interested. Like there are some specific things like TRE and practices that really induce that in your body. And so, but these are some of those that are going to help us move through it, just like the animals.
Yay, just like the animals that we are, you know. So, okay, first one I want to invite us to do together. It is called hand screaming, and I learned this from Katie and my mentor in this work, Aya Iwasaki. So if you have your yoga mat or wherever you are, you can come to your knees. And let's see, come to your knees, or if you don't have something squishy to sit on, you can stand or you can sit. And I will demonstrate first. So you're always welcome to scream, just like if you are in a safe space to scream, please, I invite you to do so. But this is really a powerful one if you are in a space where you can't make a lot of sound, and oftentimes we are. So basically what you do, you're on your knees, and then you cover your mouth with your hands, and you're going to scream into your hands and shake your body and shake your hips. Especially you want to get into the hips, because we can store so much in there as you're screaming until you feel complete. So I'll demonstrate and we'll do it together. So kind of like that. And really, if you feel that you're in a space to make sound, I invite you to go in with the sound to whatever degree you can, because that vessel of the throat can really process a lot of our emotion. And then, yeah, let's do that together and just allow to move whatever's there. Okay, so as we're ready, let us go in. Inhale.
And do it however, if you like, you can keep your video on, like we're here to witness you. If you feel more comfortable turning it off and doing it, you feel like you can get into it more, do whatever you need to do. So I feel like you can get into it. So
And we will this is pre-ritual too. And then when we go into ritual, we'll have more spaciousness and setting up the space. Okay, so breathing in together and hands over your mouth. And as you're ready, hand scream. And just allowing the energy to move through, breathing deep. And then come back to seated position. And yeah, just keep breathing with this energy as you know we're starting to awaken the body and the emotions before we dive in deeper. So that's one that I like to use. Another one is the Fists of Fury. That's actually a Kundalini exercise, but I kind of just modify it, and you just bunch up your fists. You can do like the thumb on the mount of the pinky and then close like this, or just whatever feels good. And you punch the sky, just going over your head. And you can do just an exhale through the mouth. And usually this one, we're inviting in the energy of rage and anger. So just inviting that energy in, imagining that you're angry and just moving that energy through the body. Okay, so that's that one. And yeah, I'm just to be clear, I'm going through all these, and then during the ritual, it'll be like, use whatever feels true to you. So that one, okay. Then this one, I'm going to demonstrate. You can do it with me, but you don't have to. This is wailing. Also learned this from Aya. So you come to the same like knee stance that we did for hand screaming, and then you open your heart up, and you can go all the way back into Ustrasana camel pose if you want, or you can just open the heart and open the throat, because often when we're feeling intense emotions, our first instinct is to contract into fetal position, and that can often not allow the energy to move. So the intention with this one is to open the heart, open the throat, and then you just let out any sound that's coming out, like a cry, a wail. You can do this even without sound. You can just do it with breath if you can't make sound in the place you're in, but invitation is to just exhale. And sometimes I like to stay in that one for a while and really get things moving. So yes, those ones. And then, okay, pillow bashing. Basically, we've all probably done this at some time or another. It's just hitting a pillow with your arms like this. You can hit a pillow however you desire. There's no right way to hit a pillow, but this is the way that I've learned it in this work. And you just have your arms up like this, like a goalpost, and then you just let everything out and just like release all of your energy into the pillow. And that can feel really good. And we can, when we go all in with these exercises, we can move energy quickly, surprisingly quickly, and just like letting it out. So that's a good one when you're just feeling the rage. And then this one is pillow fucking, or I don't know a better name for it than that. This is also one I learned from Aya. And basically the idea is that we store a lot of energy here in the womb, in the hips, and in our yoni. And so this can allow that energy to move in when the energy is like really bunched up there and just letting it move. Usually, yeah, when I feel rage, this is another one I like to do. So similar to pillow bashing, but you have a pillow under your hips. I don't know if you can really see this. And you just allow your body to go down on it. So you're just going into the pillow, and the same motion, like the same release with your hands, but your hips are hitting the pillow. So you're just like, and and just letting it all go and feeling whatever emotions are coming through. So you get the idea. Yeah, and these tools can be intense to like demonstrate and go into, but you know, it's like it's sort of like having a structure for the intensity of the emotions that we often just feel in our daily lives, and a way to channel them into transmuting that energy. So, okay, those ones, yes. And then finally, the way that we'll start off the ritual is doing a clench and release breath hold. So you guys don't have to do this right now, but I'll guide you through it in a few minutes. You start in this egg position and you just like hold everything in on the ground. And so you inhale into that for about 25 seconds, and I'll guide that. And then on your exhale, you just let everything out. So it'll be like this. And you go all the way in to the tightness and then let everything out. And that's a powerful way to invoke emotion as well. So yeah, we'll do that. And then we'll do some hip circles as well, but that will be kind of self-explanatory. So yes, 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 let's take a few moments to set up our space for this ritual. Does anyone have any questions after that? It was a lot of different tools that were just shared. Questions, comments, concerns? All right, amazing. Well, we're going in. So also, this is all invitation based, you know, do what feels true to you. You can just be in the listening to this transmission, in the breath, in the container. You can do all the emotional release tools, you can do none of them. It's really about your connection with your dark goddess. And sometimes that is very soft and it's not intense and not this like energy of wildness. It can be just very gentle and just like a few tears and holding and softness. So there's no right way. I share these tools because in my experience in my own life and in other women that I've worked with and I'm friends with, it can be, when we're feeling rage or when we're feeling like a heightened energy, it can be scary and we might not know what to do with that. And that type of energy can be turned in on ourselves. So having those tools to transmute the big energy is important. And there is a full spectrum of ways to relate to our shadow. All right, so Katie, if everyone's ready in their spaces, Katie will.
Thank you, Anna, for bravely demonstrating all of those things for us. So excited to go into this ritual. Okay, so yeah, take a moment, like just make sure your space is, you're feeling safe in your space, and any last little movements you want to kind of wiggle out of your system. If you want to get some water or use the bathroom or whatever. We won't take like an official break, but you know, take care of yourself, take care of your needs right now before we go in. It's kind of intense. So all right. So I want to start this ritual by inviting Inanna back in. So I talked a little bit about her myth, and I really want her to watch over all of us as we go through this experience together, because she is the ultimate, goddess of the dark and totally understands where we're all going. So I'd like you all to close your eyes and take a deep breath into your womb space, through your yoni, up all the way through your lungs and throat, and let it out through your mouth. Just take a couple more of those yoni to throat breaths that we practiced last time. All the way through your body, in through your lungs, up through your throat. So I want you to imagine that you are Inanna. You are a goddess, and you sit on your throne in the heavens, looking out over all of the beautiful clouds in front of you. Maybe you feel joy, maybe you feel ecstasy, maybe you feel pleasure. Just feeling into that. What does it feel like to be a goddess and to sit on a throne and to look out over your queendom? But then you also tap into your heart space and feel into your heart space right now. There is something missing. It doesn't feel real, this place that you're in. No amount of gifts, no amount of suitors, no amount of possessions or anything is truly going to fill you up here. And you know that it's time to go on a little journey. So I invite you to start descending from the clouds, slowly descending from the heavens, through the atmosphere. Feel your body drop down, 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 until you reach the surface of the earth and you see a tunnel that goes down even further. This tunnel is not so scary. It is well lit. It is inviting. And you keep descending. Down, down, down. And you come upon this first gate. You have to give something up to pass through this gate. What is it? What is it that you have been called to give up in this life? So you make your offering to the dark goddess here and offer it up. And as soon as you offer, the gate opens. And you walk down the passageway to another gate. Keep breathing, keep breathing. And you are being called to give up something else. So I invite you now to walk through these gates at your own pace in this hall of darkness and light. Walk through each of these 7 gates and make an offering at each of them. What are you being called to give up in this life? And when you reach the innermost, you are meeting your very own dark goddess, a mirror of yourself. She is there to help you and guide you through this darkness. She honors you for giving up whatever you had to give up at each of those gates to make this very hard journey. And now we're going to enter this space with her as we take this journey with our own darkness.
So breathing down deep into the low belly. Feeling the womb space. feeling the mysteries in this space. Allowing ourselves to sink deeper into that which we do not know, that which we cannot name. Growing comfortable with the dark. Allowing ourselves to stabilize in this space of the womb, the cave, the depths of our psyche. Reminding ourselves of our place of resource, that we are safe, we are held. And as you're ready, come to the clench and hold position. So just lay down on your mat or on your bed or wherever you are. And just come into a little ball in fetal position. And just rock back in here, rock back and forth here for just a moment. Deepening into your breath, into your body. Just moving any little parts of your body that want to move before we dive into the breath. And staying connected to the space of the womb, to the myth of Inanna. And then coming fully into this position, inhaling tightly into a ball, clenching everything in your body, allowing this moment of holding the breath to be a diving into the darkness, diving into any emotions. Keep holding for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Powerful exhale. Release everything. And take a few cleansing breaths here. And then come back into this little ball, this little fetal position. Breathing in, clenching every muscle in your body, the jaw, the face, clenching everything tighter, 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 squeezing, squeezing, squeezing for 5, 4, 3, 2, a little tighter, 1, and powerful exhale. Letting everything out. Cleansing breaths. And straight into the third and final time, just inhaling, clenching the body into a little ball, and imagine that you are going into that energy of the darkness, into any stagnant emotions as you inhale, tighter, 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 squeezing the jaw, squeezing the butt, squeezing the face, squeezing every single muscle for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Powerful exhale. Relax everything. Allow your body to melt into the earth. Invite in some sound on the exhale, allowing the voice to open as we breathe and exhale with sound. Feeling the heat that has been generated in the body. And as we're ready, we'll turn over onto our stomach. And on your stomach, just stretch for a moment in cobra position. Getting into the hips here. Opening up the heart and the throat. And then from here, we'll come onto our hands and knees and begin to do some rotations of the hips. So as we inhale, coming forward into cobra. And as you exhale, come almost all the way back into child's pose. We're going just one direction for now, and we'll go the other direction after. So inhaling at your own pace as you go forward. this, really allow yourself to follow the pattern of your own breath. And imagine that as you move your body, you're inviting in any emotions that feel stagnant, that feel intense, that feel scary. You are going on the journey of Inanna, into the darkness, into the womb, into the mystery. Listening to the pulse of your own body. Your own body is your guide. Your own breath is your guide. With each deep breath, inviting in a little bit more of the energy of Inanna. And allow the circles to move a little faster with the hips. And then we'll reverse them the other way. So big circles, opposite direction. Inhaling as we go forward, exhaling as we go back. And again, allowing yourself to be entranced by the movement of your own body. Inviting in your own breath. This ritual is for you to connect with your shadow, to invite in any emotions that have been stagnant, that are ready to move, to let go of anything that you've been holding on to. Invite that in. You can let it go, you can let it move. And picking up the pace of those circles, really getting into the hips. Anything that feels sticky, just moving it, shaking it. Sounding it out. And stretching back into child's pose for a moment. Allowing yourself to shake in child's pose. So give yourself a little shake. Then from here, just begin to move intuitively in any way that feels true. So you can stay on your mat if you like, stay in these hip circles. You can come to crouching position and just begin to dance. You can come to standing, anything that feels good. Or anything that wants to move, even if it doesn't feel good. Be in the trusting of your breath, of the emotions that want to move. Knowing that any of the tools that were shared earlier are available to you to use. The temptress, inviting in the energy of our sexuality. Inviting in the energy of the serpent. Allowing it to move us, to awaken any part of us that has been asleep. Inviting in our own power. We are powerful beings. Breathing with the waves of our power, the depth of our power. Continue breathing, continue moving. Imagine that as you're exploring this cave of darkness, diving into the underworld, walking through these 7 gates, imagine that whatever is ready to be released in your life, whatever is ready to die, that you're letting it go. Let it move. It can be gentle, it can be ferocious. While we're in this energy of release, of letting go of the darkness of death, simultaneously inviting in our shadow sister so that we may dance with her. Inviting in our grief, our jealousy, our rage, our shame, our guilt, any emotion that we were told not to feel, that we had to shove down. Inviting that in. Our sister, our shadow, saying yes to her, feeling her, moving with her. Inviting in the energy of anger, of rage for these last few minutes. I invite you to, if you haven't yet, use one of the tools that was shared and allow yourself to conjure up that feeling of rage, if it's true to you, if it's there and wants to be felt. And as we're in this space of feeling our anger, for any time we've been wronged, for any time we haven't shared our truth when we wanted to, when we've been shut down, when our boundaries have been crossed, when our bodies haven't been respected. Inviting in this rage and allowing it to move. Knowing that we are safe and held in a container of sisters. A container of sisters who also feel rage. It's safe to feel it, it's safe to move it, it's safe to let it come out, be expressed. Continue breathing with the energy that you're in, saying yes to it, whatever it looks like. Whether it's pleasure, grief, rage, jealousy, just staying with that energy. Staying with the shadow, inviting her in, feeling her, letting her be seen, honoring her power. Becoming inquisitive about what she has to say, who she is, what does she desire? Can we let her play? Can we become intimate? Can we dance with our demons? whatever it is that we're feeling. Bliss is any emotion fully felt, so let ourselves feel it fully. And for this last minute, I invite us to feel the connection of the circle. Being in our own process connected to our own goddess, but also feeling this support of the circle, this connection to other women who are feeling deeply as well, who are moving emotions through their bodies. Allowing ourselves to feel held and supported, while also in our own sovereignty. And so for this last minute, I invite us to begin to shake wherever we are. If we're seated, if we can stand, we can be laying down, just invite in a shake to the body. As Katie said earlier, this is what animals do when they experience trauma right away. So inviting in this shake. Really going for it for a last minute, knowing that we are creating this energy together, moving this energy of the dark goddess through our bodies, saying no to anything that does not feel right, allowing ourselves to feel our anger, and in doing so, feel our power, feel our beauty, feel our pleasure, feel our creativity, feel our turn on. Releasing any parts of us that don't believe we're powerful beings, any parts of us that feel stagnant, disgusting, ugly. Releasing that, and shaking into our power, into our connection as women, into our connection to the earth, into our yonis, into our cycles, into the wisdom that we all hold. Yes, yes to this, yes to the body, yes to our intuition. It's safe to trust our intuition. And inhaling in deeply together. And exhale, release. Coming down to the floor if you're not already there. And just holding yourself, laying down for a moment. Holding yourself in any way that feels good. Exhaling with sound. Remembering your place of resource. And feeling that as we breathe and allow any energy that we've moved to continue just dripping off of us back into the earth, feeling ourselves reunited with our dark goddess, with our shadow sister, cultivating a relationship of listening with her, of honoring to her, and gently feeling ourselves in this myth of Inanna, in the descent. The path of the goddess is a path of descent into the body, allowing ourselves to feel the embodiment of our shadow and the softness of coming home to the body, to what is, the lightness that can be created when we allow our emotions to move us. So breathing into this softness, breathing into the body, into the medicine of the body, the trust of our intuition, the trust of our womb. Recalling our place of resource, if we had one, and placing our hands there. We are safe. We are sound. We are welcome here. We are safe. We are safe. We are safe. Repatterning, reprogramming, reminding our systems that it's safe to feel. It's safe to feel. It's safe to feel. And gently finding your journal if it's near you. If not, that's okay. You can just stay in your space. And just taking a few moments to write down any downloads that came through during our practice. Allow it to just come up from the space that we traveled to. Anything about the Dark Goddess? What messages does she have for you? We'll just take 2 minutes to write down any transmissions coming through. And coming back to the screen as we're ready. If you have a lot to write down, there'll be time. There'll be time to write and journal and go fully into that. So I'm going to take us into breakout rooms again, like we did last week, to just do about 10 minutes of sharing. And that should finish up like right around 7. And if anyone has to leave right then, that's okay. And if not, we'll probably go a few minutes over. And then we'll come back to the circle and close out fully. Does that sound good to you, Katie? Okay. All right. Sending to the breakout rooms. Here we go. Hi. We have the same group as last week. Thank you all for being in that ritual together. So I would love to just hear anything from any one of you that wants to share, and then we can do popcorn style.
I'll share. Yeah, for going into where we had to come up to the gates and really being honest with myself of what some of those things that I have to give up, and even seeing how some of them are my own protection layers, this and these ideas I have built up around me, and being able to, what does it mean to really let those things die, to let go of, and really who do I have to become to let those go. And so I feel as I was able to dance, I was exploring that and even seeing what emotions came up and what was really being said behind like jealousy or anger. And it was like, well, what is my dark goddess actually trying to say to me through these emotions, and getting to meet that side and actually see as parts are like, oh, I didn't feel respected and I felt this way, and I'm not feeling honored, and being able to see what's really coming out for me. So yeah, that was really powerful. Thank you for leading.
Thank you
And
for sharing that,
yeah,
Stephen.
Popcorn Eliana. Is that how you say your name?
Yeah. Um. Yeah, it was amazing what just asking the question, like going through the gates, like what comes with that. It's like, wow, just right off the bat, like just so much clarity, or like so much more awareness than before. Because it's just like, okay, passing through a gate, what needs to be given up? Oh, okay, this attachment, and that was powerful. I had a harder time dropping into the release. I was feeling really low energy. I was feeling like a sponge that had been squeezed out already and like didn't have anything left to give. And so I had a hard time. And then I was trying to discern what was numb and what was like empty. I think it was a little of both. Um, yeah, I felt like I'm coming out of a time of so much grieving and so much darkness and loss and confusion. And so I think I'm just feeling the up wave of that. And I'm like, I don't want to go down there. I don't want to go down. It was hard for me to tap that well, but a little bit got shaken off. And yeah, it was what came through strongest was at the very end. I was feeling how I was just seeing myself with my family and my mom in particular, and seeing how my shadow shows up so much, or has shown up so much in that relationship, and and often in ways where like I feel judgmental of her not being in her power. And there was just this clarity, like the dark goddess wants us to be in her power, and we want each other to be in their dark goddess power too, as women. Like we want that, and probably all like men too, and like all folks want the dark goddess to be in the light and like to be seen. But there's just so much suppression and like contortion of my that force in me in the world in public, that it like comes out in this toxic way in the safety of my family. And I've been like healing that mother wound relationship for several years now, and it was cool to bring in the dark goddess energy into that kind of journey. So
Thank you for sharing, Ellie. Yeah, feeling you.
Who's ready? I don't want to put anyone on the spot. Camille.
Hi. So my mom just like left like 5 minutes before I got on this call. So like this call like has been my exhale. Um, and it was like pretty intense because basically my brother and my sister haven't been in contact with my mom for some years now. And so like I feel this like immense pressure to like be the love and be the support and be all these things when like I guess like what like one of the first things that came up that like I had to release was like the expectation of like being enough for 3 kids. And so yeah, it was just a lot. And thank you for doing this because I think it's been like a long time coming and something that like I've really put off for a long time, but it made me realize like I really need to put myself first and I can't continue like putting so much into a relationship that like really takes so much away from me. So yeah, it was good and important, but definitely a bit of a wake-up call. um so I will
Before that, can we just send Camille some love? Can we just like rub our hands together and send her some universal energy medicine? Love you so much. And thank you for choosing to put yourself first. And yeah, releasing that need to be more than enough for 3 kids. That's a lot to hold. So just holding you in that and your siblings and your mom and sending you so much love.
is anyone ready to go? I don't want to put anyone on the spot. Anna?
That was very lovely, Anna. Thank you so much. Oh, so beautiful. On the new moon, I went through a shamanic journey that was very similar. That was just a shamanic journey into my shadow. And the similar things kind of come up, and it's cool because each practice you do, something new kind of can arise, and it's really beautiful in that way. I think a big piece of all of this is just I think for a long time, there's certain parts of my shadow that I tried to change and that I disliked. And so such a huge part of this journey has just been loving those parts of me, like truly loving my shadow. For example, parts of my ego, and asking, my shadow, what is your ego gifting you, right? What is it here? Why is it here? And even in just same thing in relationships, like, oh, why am I like this? Why am I so attached? But just step back and just loving my nurturing and compassionate self, instead of being like, why are you like this? So yeah, definitely a lot in all the ways. So yes, thank you thank you all.
Thank you so much, Anna. The new moon was powerful. Wow. Such a portal. Gemini new moon. So
literally, yes, I know.
Oh my.
We were in a circle, and we were supposed to end at 8, and it was like 1 in the morning, and we were like, what time is it? I'm like, it's like just literally a portal.
Yes. So I think just Sarah, if you'd like to share.
Yeah, sure. This was very interesting. I think this is the first time I've done something that was so kind of explicitly focused on this type of like energy work and self-work. So it was unique for me. I've, in the last year become pretty pointedly aware of my own kind of inability to process and express like anger or hurt and that kind of stuff. I had such an association with it for so long that I never really allowed myself to experience those emotions consciously. So I feel like the space that Anna, you helped create today just kind of gave me a venue to like let a lot of that out. And I felt like this kind of unleashing and kind of freeing of that part, those parts of me, and allowing them to be to be expressed and not held in a cage. Yeah, has been kind of a lot of the imagery that was coming up for me was about kind of letting that go and letting it be, because it's not like an evil thing. I guess.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that and for being in this edge of being in a container like this, and inviting in the shadow in this intentional way, because it's it can be intense. So just honoring you in that. Yeah, thank you. Okay, before we go back to the other room, can we just all send each other some energy like we did with Camille? So we'll just rub our hands together and then just radiating out into our little group here, and also feeling that we're receiving through our heart as we're giving through our hands. And just giving to Sarah, to Anna, to Ellie, to Sam, to Camille, to me, and just all of us receiving and giving. And really allow your heart to feel it. Letting in the love. Thank you all so much. I love you. Thank you for your shares and for your vulnerability. We're gonna go back to our other room.
Thank you, Anna.
Yeah. I love you all so much. We just hang out. Let's just like all meet up after this. Sleepover. Okay. Mwah. Leave breakout room. That's what we're. What's up? It's a one-on-one call.
Are we in a breakout room?
Wait, what did I do? Wait, no, I think people just didn't leave yet. Wait, what? Or did I just invite you? Okay, we're closing.
Oh my God.
I guess my true desires come out.
Here we are.
Hello.
We were confused. We were like, did we start a new breakout room by ourselves?
Anna, will you post that song in the chat for?
Yes.
I would love that. That was so beautiful.
Okay, so it's Deadova, Myth of the Cave, the first one, and then right at the front. Yeah, that one. Oh, so good. I'll post it in the chat, but then I'll also put it in our group chat.
Awesome.
You also send a picture of what you read today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah, I love that book. And I'll send the passage. Oh, there's everyone. Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, we're all back. All right, Katie.
All right.
Anything
I can
close out
kind
with?
of close us out here. So I just want to celebrate each and every one of you for showing up, and celebrate Anna and I for showing up as well. I was telling the ladies I was having some resistance as well tonight, coming and moving through my own darkness and goddess stuff. So I'm glad I'm here. I'm glad you're all here too. So we're gonna close with a simple song in a minute, but I just wanted to leave you with a little quote. I've been reading a lot from this book called Prayers of Honoring Grief by Pixie Lighthorse, and it's a really amazing resource for anyone going grief, loss of any sort. Her words are just incredibly moving. And in one of her prayers, her honoring yearning, she ends with saying, Teach me to be satisfied with the quality of my real emotions. When light and dark live inside me in equal measure, neither will consume me. So just wanted to think about that. I just filled me up. Oh, yes, I will post the name of the book. Yes, the title is Prayers of Honoring Grief. And I will put it in the WhatsApp chat as well. Prayers of Honoring Grief, yeah. She's in Oregon too, Anna. I know you're in Oregon. She's in Bend. Yeah, she's pretty amazing shaman woman. Ooh, Wild Edge of Sorrow. Yeah, so many resources around grief. We will do it. Okay, so we're going to sing this beautiful Sister Circle song. So we have warmed up our bodies and our voices thoroughly, I think, with what the practices we just did. But everyone just take a deep breath in through your yonis, up through your throats, and out through your throats. And I invite you to just take a few of those breaths in your own space right now while I get these lyrics to paste in the chat. So yes, take a few breaths in through your yoni, out through your mouth. Feel that opening up all of the channels in your body. Oh no, it does not want to copy and paste. I don't know why. Okay, I'm going to write them really quick because they're pretty quick. Just keep doing those breaths. 1 sec. Take me 1 second.
You can copy and paste it to me as well, message. Or you got it already.
I'm done. Oops.
Perfect.
Okay. So I'm going to start singing it. And join in when you feel comfortable with it. Sister, spin your circle bright, weave your web of dark and light, earth, air, fire, and water bind us as one. Sister, spin your circle bright, weave your web of dark and light, earth, air, fire, and water bind us as one. Sister, spin your circle bright, weave your web of dark and light, earth, air, fire, and water bind us as one. Sister, spin your circle bright, weave your web of dark and light, earth, air, fire, and water bind us as one. One more time. Sister, spin your circle bright, weave your web of dark and light, earth, air, fire, and water bind us as one. And feeling the medicine of those words. Sister, spin your circle bright, weave your web of dark and light, earth, air, fire, and water bind us as one. Feeling the interconnectedness of our lightness, of our darkness, and our womb, how it connects to our bodies and how it connects us to everyone here on this call and all of our sisters. Thank you all so much for showing up tonight and your bravery. We are so excited to witness you in this work, and we are here to support you in whatever way we can. So have a blessed week, everyone.
You can unmute yourselves and say goodbye. We love you all so much. Oh, and yeah, next week is the Outer Wild. So we'll type stuff in the chat. And yeah, just begin to feel into your connection to nature. And nature, houseplants, the earth at large, the water, the food. Yeah. And we'll see you next Monday.
Oh, thank you.
Bye,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank
Everybody.
you.
Thanks for
Bye,
holding
guys.
space for us.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good evening. Bye. Mwah.